Hi, welcome to the Bathtub. When you hear this iconic announcer.
Grab the coins! Survival! Special brawl! Rotation!
You know it's time for one of our hardest hitting games, theme shows here at the Bathtub, and I forgot to do what I was supposed to do. There's two bathtubs. It's called Battle of the Bathtubs, and this is one of the bathtubs, and we haven't got the other bathtub here. But this is good. This is a new version of Battle of the Bathtubs. I've decided to call this one Battle of the Bathtubs Elimination Round, just like Super Smash Brothers. This is a demolition derby, so only one person is going to survive this battle. So normally we're in our old age, we've become very non-confrontational. You'd never know this. Talk to people know me, but still, totally non-confrontational. And we just try to accept everybody's books and everybody's writing and anything we don't like. We just don't really. We rarely talk about. There's very few times that we actually go after somebody like Norman Mailer or somebody we really don't like. And we're not going to say anything bad about anybody in this one either. It's just that this is elimination round. The premise is that I don't know if you noticed this, but I have too many books. I just can't keep them all. And so we have one episode we sometimes do called, I forget what it's called. It's called Weeding the Books or something. We get rid of books and we put them on, we sell them or something. This is going to be one where we're going to take two different writers, okay? And the two writers we're going to talk about today are one of our old favorites. We've talked about him before, Ross MacDonald's Find a Victim. We've been reading these books backwards. And then we're going to do one of the Andrew Vachss book. I don't have a cover for it. You see, I've really done this. This is a real this is a terrible show. This is called Down in the Zero by Andrew Vachss. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And I've been reading Vachss for off and on for many years. And these are the two writers the kind of hard-boiled thriller writers. I felt like some hard-boiled thrilling here at the Bathtub. And we talked about both of them, and one of them is gonna win the other one. One of the bathtubs is gonna do better than the other bathtub, and then we may actually get rid of some books out of this. So let's start with well, first of all, let's remember that this is the unpixelated version. We don't do all this trendy stuff that all those cool tubers do, where they get all the fonts. They have fonts and they do all sorts of stuff with their cameras, like edit, all that crap. No booze, just clear mountain water and the Raphael glow that invests me from my tip of my toes to my top of my head. So we've been reading the Vachss books for quite a few years, off and on, and I was kind of taken with the idea of reading them all in sequence a few years ago. And so I went back, and there's one of the things about the Vachss books. They're about a guy named Burke who lives in New York, and it's super hard. It's hard boiled. These are hard boiled eggs. They're so hard they go right through the concrete. They just hit the ground, crack everything. They're pretty powerful hard boiled eggs, and they often have a lot of stuff about child abuse. That's almost a euphemism for what's happened to some of these kids. But they're kids who have been abused or involved in child pornography or child prostitution. It's not right in your face sort of the horribles of it, but the horrors of the monsters and the people, the bad guys in this are really super evil guys. So they really deserve to die horribly, which sometimes they do. And this whole series, it starts with Flood. We've talked about these before. The first one's called Flood. And he has a big dog named, I think his dog's name is Pansy. I can't remember. It's a big giant, half Rottweiler, half bear or something that's really totally evil. Of course, he's got all these weird friends, like a guy called the Mole who runs a garbage. He lives in a dump, and he's like a genius. It's basically the whole premise of all these are all the outsiders and losers of New York culture who have created this kind of secret network family. And Burke's been in and out of prison. He's been in and out of child care, you call it, social care, and all these horrible things in prisons. And he's got another friend called the professor or the prof, I forget, the professor, who talks in slang, who talks in rhyming slang. I don't know. He's always, I can't give any examples because I can't rhyme. You know that about me. And then he's got a friend named Michelle, who is she's a trans woman who I think goes through a sex change operation somewhere about the time of the new book. And she's she's sort of the mother figure of the whole group, and she's got a young boy. All these characters kind of gather through the book. So especially some of these young kids who are going through these horrible lives, they kind of come into this network, this family network, and there's gangsters and killers, and there's a guy who's like a super killer who's lurking in the shadows, is there Hawk? I forget. Hawk wasn't in this book. It was a lot of characters. It's a pretty interesting series. I always find the books go a little too long, and I found that as I was reading through the series, I would get about halfway through the books, and I kind of get stalled. And so I wanted to read all these. I mean, and I read up to Sacrifice, and I was thinking of spending my twilight years reading these among the others. And I read Down to the Zero, and Down to the Zero is kind of an interesting one. You see the nice cover. Hold on, you want to? I think you should see the cover. It's unfair not to see it, but I don't have it. I don't know where it is. It's after Burke has done some. He killed a kid, I think, in the previous one, and he's feeling guilty, and he's wandering through town, and then he gets hired by the son of an old friend. So he goes out, basically, I think it's like Long Island or somewhere. It's like it's upper class suburbs of New York, and he goes out to take care of some kid who's really a rich kid. He's with a really boring, dissolute group of rich kids, and I forget why the kid's scared. I can't remember what's going on, but involved with it is somebody who as he's investigating this kind of suburban nightmare, really upper class suburban nightmare. He starts to meet more people who he brings. For example, this kid who hires him is a real loser, and she's just stoner and all this stuff. But Burke teaches him to have felt respect for himself by letting him drive his car in some races. I got to say, halfway through this book, I was kind of really dying. I just couldn't. It was reminding me of the things I don't like, why I don't really read the Vachss books. It starts off with these great ideas, really kind of interesting ensemble of characters, and then the thing with the kid and how Burke is like this kind of half evil gangster killer, detective. He somehow teaches this kid to respect himself, and then he gets involved. The part that's kind of really hard to take is he gets involved with this woman who's a dominatrix. So guys go to her to something I have to say I've had no interest in. To be like do bondage and whip them and all this, and treat them really badly and spank them. And she's this really kind of good looking, like all these women in all his books. They're kind of really good looking, but they're screwed up. And then he loves her. She has the hots for him because he doesn't like to be dominated, and he's super dominating. And so she becomes the dominated, and he teaches her through domination to sort of love her, respect herself again. I'm sorry, I don't normally make fun of the books. I think Vachss is a really good prose writer, really interesting prose writer. But then there's these lots of sex scenes. I got to say, I hate sex scenes in almost any book, and there's just one sex scene after another. By the time I got to the end of this, I kind of forgot what it was about. It's obviously a series, and as I remember picking it up in later books, it is a series of books I would say you have to read in sequence because they in their own plots are a little loose, and they're kind of tying together all these previous characters. Anyway, but I got to the end of this. Okay, I'm skipping to the front. I just decided I'm going to get rid of my Vachss books. I just have so many of them. So I have all these. I have all the old mass market paperbacks. I mean, there's the telephone. We work things really well here. It's called Flood and Strega, and all these characters keep showing up. Hard Candy, and then I actually just recently went out and bought a few more. The telephone's ringing. It's crazy. Dead and Gone. I remember reading that. When I first moved to SLO, and or maybe it was Pain Management. I can't remember. Where he gets slaughtered and shot up, and he has to recover. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of them all. I don't have so much space here, and I don't think I'm going to read it again. I would all I can say is he's a very good prose writer. He does really kind of interesting dark detective books, and I found as the series went on, I just kept losing interest in it. Okay, so that's the elimination round. I'm not because he's not a good writer. I just don't have room for everything, and I don't think I'll try him anymore. Dodo, you can be quiet, please. Dodo can be quiet. This is called Find a Victim, Ross MacDonald. I'm reading these backwards. Dodo, can you keep it quiet? There's old Lucky. Where's Lucky? Can you see? We're having lots of issues with Lucky. Where is she? Can you see her? There you go. Say hi, Lucky. Say hi there. You're going to wag your tail, so that's good. She's really having a tough time, and we're having a tough time with her. We've got her on the Prozac, but then the Prozac, she stops eating, and then she doesn't take her other medicines, and so we've had a few violent days with the crazy poor old dog, and she's so scared when it happens. We're doing our best for her, and this is called Find a Victim. It's 1954, and it's Lou going out to kind of a desert area. I guess it's like Palm Springs or something like that, and as he's driving home from some job, he sees a guy out in the streets, on the road, and he's been shot. He's a truck driver, and he's been shot and killed, and he's dying. And Lou brings him into town, and in the course of the story, he meets all these characters, of course, related to the man who's dead, and a family, often a very wealthy family, with often a very powerful man at the top, who's a bastard, and often abusive of children, and again, this child abuse comes up a lot in these books, and in the thriller genre in general. And anyway, I don't want to give you more than that. I liked it. It's not, again, I get into the early ones. I wanted to read these backwards because I did not read a lot of the earliest ones. I like the MacDonald books much better in the laters, from the 60s to the 70s. I think they're much more interesting books, and they're less detective mysteries as so much as kind of exploring the histories of these families that Lou goes in to meet in these very usually wealthy suburbs, and how they're related and how historical events have come back to haunt them. This one is good. I found the last 40, 50 pages to become very plotty, lots of plot, I kind of started losing interest in it. I'm the sort of mystery reader who never cares who killed Roger Ackroyd. I could care less who killed Roger. By the time we get to the end, as soon as the mystery starts to be solved, I kind of lose interest in stuff. And that's why I really like the Ross MacDonald books. I will keep these forever, and I will read. I only have a few more of the really early Ross MacDonalds. I recall The Moving Target, the first one, which was turned into a really excellent Paul Newman detective movie. I recall that was a pretty good book. And I think I like the Drowning Pool. And there's a couple in there I haven't read. I have not read Find a Victim, so I was glad I read it. It wasn't my favorite of his books, but it was good. Okay, that's it. Elimination round. And that's our Battle of the Bathtubs. It's a Battle of the Bathtub. And I'm going to do one more of these. We'll be a little hectic around here, especially with our poor little dog. And we'll talk to you, but we're doing our best for her, so don't worry too much. Don't forget, we do this all the time. We're going to start doing this. Lucky's okay. She's doing her best, huh, darling? And we'll talk to you soon. Okay.